I am now in my series of comparing a hardtail mountain bike to a gravel bike for gravel riding. I did a kickoff video, so if you haven't watched that, go watch it. Now we're going to do some time trials. So what I'm going to do today is head out on about a 45-minute loop near my house, and I'm going to first do a time trial on a section of gravel that takes about 5 or 6 minutes, and this is going to be an all-out, as fast as I can go time trial comparing these bikes. At the end of that section, I'm not only going to talk about the time, but I'm also going to talk about the comfort, how the bikes rode in that scenario. After I recover for about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to do a second section that's a little bit longer. And in the second section, I'm going to do that one at more of a tempo pace because I feel like that's going to be more realistic for gravel riders. Gravel races are pretty long, and you're not going to go out and hammer as hard as you can go for a gravel race. You'll burn out in the first 45 minutes. So riding a tempo effort, I think, is more realistic. Now, I don't have power meters on these bikes, so I'm going to be using a heart rate monitor to ride tempo. Now, I've been practicing and doing training at tempo efforts for 20 years, so I'm really comfortable with knowing the amount of effort it takes to do a tempo effort, not only in the heart rate, but also the perceived exertion. So the second section is dirt for the first part. The dirt section's maybe 8 minutes or so. And then there's a paved section that's about 5 minutes. So I will not only get an overall time for that second section, but I'm going to do a split time. So when I end the dirt section, I'll time myself again on the pavement section, and we'll get a pretty good idea if there's any difference between these two bikes on dirt and on pavement. All right, so now it's time to go get ready for my ride, and I'll pick up this video out on the road. All right, I'm back and showered and, more importantly, fed. And I want to go over the results of the day, and they were a little bit surprising to me. Now, I was going to talk when I was out on the road, but the audio from the GoPro was not that great, so I'm doing it now. All right, so let's talk about the hard section first. So my first lap was on the hardtail, and I hit the hard section first, all out. 5 minutes, 52 seconds. Average heart rate was 167 with a max of 173. So I did the tempo section, grabbed the gravel bike, and I want to talk about the hard section on the gravel bike. So on the second lap, which was on the gravel bike, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The gravel bike destroyed the hardtail on that section. 22 seconds faster. I was really surprised. And the heart rate was lower. Average heart rate was 162. With a max of 172, so 5 beats lower on the average heart rate, 1 beat lower on the max. And I wasn't quite as fresh, obviously, on the second lap. I had already ridden an hour by the time I got on the gravel bike. So really surprised at the hard section. All right, for the tempo section, lap 1 on the hardtail, the total time was 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Average heart rate of 155, max of 161. Now what I did on the tempo section was I tried to keep my heart rate between 153 and 158. That's the sweet spot for me for tempo, with 155 kind of being the target, and I was pretty successful at doing that. Now on the split times of the hardtail, 6:15 on the dirt section and 3:55 on the paved. Now on lap 2 on the gravel bike, on that same tempo section, I had a total time of 9:45, so it's 25 seconds faster on the gravel bike on the tempo section with a little bit lower average heart rate, 153 for the average, 158 for the max. On the splits, I was 5:56 compared to 6:15 on the dirt, and then on the pavement, I was 3:49 versus 3:55 on the hardtail. So 6 seconds faster on the pavement on the gravel bike, and on the dirt section of that 19 seconds faster on the gravel bike. So I expected the hardtail to not be as fast as the gravel bike, but I didn't think the differences would be that dramatic. Now I want to talk about just some ride quality, some things that I noticed when riding both bikes. Now, when I was trying to get aero on the hardtail, on the road section, like I put my hands in the middle and kind of crouched down, I noticed that my triceps and shoulders got a little sore on the hardtail. I'm just trying to tuck and get aero. So that's one thing. You really, especially on a long ride on a hardtail, you're going to have to kind of sit up more and ride in more of the natural cross-country position. Otherwise your arms, like I said, get tired when you're trying to get aero. That's what's nice about the gravel bike. So many hand positions, and getting down in the drops when you want to get aero just feels so natural and so comfortable. And by the way, I just want to mention that I did keep the fork locked out on the hardtail. I did not feel like I needed anything from the suspension fork. The roads were not rough enough. But that's what's nice about a mountain bike, is you can open it up on the descents if you want to and have a little bit more cushion. Now let's talk about overall comfort. And this is another area that I was even more surprised. The gravel bike felt more comfortable as far as bump absorption than the hardtail. The only thing so I'm not a materials engineer, I'm not a bike designer. The only thing that I can think of is the mountain bike, the hardtail, has to be built to handle more rough terrain, and so the carbon is not as compliant. Now, just for tire pressure, I was running about 19 in the front and about 21 in the back of the hardtail. Gravel bike, I was running about 25 in the front, 26 in the back. So fairly low tire pressures, but I like the chatter and even washboards. The gravel bike was just more comfortable. Now, one thing too is I noticed on the gravel bike my weight was more forward, so I didn't have as much weight on the saddle, and so the bumps, when I hit a hard bump, I actually was able to absorb it better on the gravel bike. But just the overall ride compliance on chattery bumps was more comfortable on the gravel bike than the hardtail. Now obviously if you're doing a rough descent where you're hitting some big hits, then yes, the hardtail is going to be more comfortable. But that was another thing that really surprised me. So on those sections that I did today, the only place that the hardtail felt better was in sand, the deep sand. There was only one section that I hit deep sand, and it was better, but not dramatically better. One thing that I also want to mention is on single track, the hardtail would destroy the gravel bike if there were roots and rocks. I've ridden my gravel bike on single track, and I can tell you that unless it's really smooth, the hardtail is just so much better than the gravel bike. So just wanted to mention that. Now let's wrap it up by talking about how you can make a mountain bike better for gravel. First of all the different types of mountain bikes, a hardtail 29er is going to be the best option for gravel. So to make it good for gravel, one, smaller tires. Now what you can do is you can use like a cross-country mountain bike rim, like a Stan's Crest. You can put cyclocross gravel tires on that. So a 29er mountain bike wheel will fit gravel tires. I've noticed at some of the cyclocross races that I go to that guys are using a 29er mountain bike rim with cyclocross tires. So if you wanted to go really fast, just get like a set of Schwalbe G1s, like a 38C or a Maxxis Rambler 40C, and you can put that on a mountain bike rim, and you can, you're going to go a lot faster. The other thing that you can do is narrow the bars a little bit. So I think about 730 would be a good compromise with a bar that's going to feel good on the mountain bike trails and also not be too wide for gravel. And finally, this is going to go retro back to the 90s of mountain biking, as you can get some bar ends. That's going to give you more hand positions, and especially for those long rides on a mountain bike, just to allow you to put your hands on the end of the bars and just be a little bit more comfortable. So that'll wrap up this video of comparing a gravel bike and a hardtail mountain bike. I'm going to be doing some more comparisons, so check out my channel. In the meantime, any questions or comments that you have about this video, go ahead and drop those below. Thanks for watching.